Everybody, welcome to another episode of Personal Mastery Training. It's the Alliance with the boys. We're back. All right. So today the conversation is a really good one. And if it's your first time joining us, this is where we do it. We present one of us. We call it the main meal because what we think of ourselves, we're chefs who serve up soul food, food for your soul. And so one of us brings the main meal. The rest of us joins in, puts our little spice, put a little herb, a little bit of this, a little bit of that to make it even better. And by the time we're done, we hope we fill your soul and nourish you. So with that, let's begin. I'm joined by Raymond and Dr. Charlie. All right, so let's rock. Dr. Charlie, what'd you bring?
Yeah, so this week I had an epiphany and love reading, love finding those wisdoms. And one of my favorite wisdoms is by Tolstoy. And he said that the two greatest warriors are patience and time. And I thought a lot about it and I agree with that. They are the two greatest warriors. But as I was processing it, I was like, how do you get those two warriors to fight for you, right? How do you get patience and time to fight for you? How do you use patience and time to your advantage? And it hit me that it depends metaphorically on who's leading your army and whether they're going to come and fight with you, right? And here's what I mean by that. You need discipline leading your army. Discipline has to be your general. And then if discipline is your general, then patience and time will be your allies. They'll fight for you. They'll be on your side. They'll work for you. But if you don't have discipline, patience and time can't help you. A lot of people talk about motivation, but the thing about motivation is unreliable. You never know when it's going to show up. Might come today, might not, might last for an hour, might last for 5 minutes. You don't know. You can't rely on motivation, but discipline 24/7, 365, rain, sleet, hail, storms, discipline's going to be there. It's always going to show up. And so when you have discipline, then patience matters, right? Then time matters because discipline is going to win the day. However, if you just have motivation, it doesn't matter how much time you have. It doesn't matter how much patience you have. You're not going to be consistent with what you're trying to accomplish, and it's going to fail ultimately. So discipline is the key to the kingdom. And with that, I'll pass the mic.
All right, Ray, you want to take that one? All right.
Yeah.
All right. I
I'll
see.
go for it.
I see, I
I'll go.
see, I see the corners of your mouth, little drools coming down here. You're ready to bite on this one.
I'm ready. I'm ready. So yeah, it's a good meal. Discipline. It's key. It's a big one, right? We all talk about it. We all hear about it all the time. As I was listening to you, Charlie, one thing that came up in my mind, I just wrote it down here, is actually I was interviewing a young athlete a few months back. He just committed to Ole Miss, down to play running back, and he told me something that I found was very interesting. He said what he learned from moving from Canada, from Montreal down to Tennessee to play his high school ball, is his coach used to always tell him, what you do is more important than how you feel. What you do is more important than how you feel. And I thought that was a very, very powerful statement because let's face it, a lot of people are just driven all the time by how they feel. Hey, I don't feel like getting out of bed right now. I don't feel like, you know, uh, leaving that extra donut aside or going to the gym, or I don't feel. In the end, I feel like discipline is the bridge that leads you to an action, even like a small, tiny action. But when they compound, and we always talk about compound interest, then they create something else. then they allow you to manifest whatever you had in your mind and create it. Okay. Yesterday I was at my in-laws, and they move around a lot right now. We call them the globetrotters, okay, globetrotters, because they're still in good health, and they just feel like they have this countdown now, where hey, we have these years where we feel good, we feel like we need to do everything, right? So it's so funny because we have a couple friends that always babysit their dog now. Okay, so they became very close because the dog needs babysitting. So now they invited the friends over, and we all had a barbecue together with the in-laws, my wife, and the friends. And it's so funny because while we were talking about this whole thing, okay, about this whole thing, what came up was exactly that. Okay, it's like okay, if I want, oh yeah, we were talking about Disney World. I'm just trying to find my words. We were talking about Disney World because my friends went to Disney World. We went 2 years back, and when I was thinking about Walt Disney, same thing. I was like, to create this amazing experience, which is Disney. It didn't happen in a day. It wasn't, oh, today I feel like I'm very motivated to go push this enormous idea forward. No, you needed to be disciplined, hyper focused, and disciplined to make this into a reality. And when I think of Disney, that's what blows my mind is that it wasn't someone's mind. So I'll finish up by sharing this wisdom for you guys. I wrote it down in my notes here. Whatever you can do or dream, you can begin it. Boldness, discipline as genius, power, and magic in it. Johann Wolfgang van Gogh, right? So discipline as magic in it. That's really what it is. Disney is magic personified. It was manifested through a lot of focus and discipline. So with that, I'll pass the mic.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. What a juicy conversation here. All right, so one of my favorite conversations. So Dr. Charlie talked about, well, he mentioned a quote brought to the table a while now, wisdom brought to the table, the two greatest warriors, Tolstoy, patience and time. Yeah. But Dr. Charlie mentioned discipline. If it's an army, discipline is a general, but he can't fight. You can't win this war without bringing in the two warriors, patience and time. But they don't have any emotions, patience and time. They don't have any emotion. They just show up because what time moves on. Everything else will stop at some point. Everything has a limit. It's finite. Life, anything you desire, it's finite. And time and but discipline, it needs those two warriors. It needs them. It needs those two warriors to fight, and they're always there, regardless. It's going to be there. We all have 24 hours, and in that same 24, as far as I know, no one got less or more. In that same 24, someone wrote a book, someone changed a life, someone's become a millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire, someone's reached their dreams, climbed the Mount Everest, someone's ran a marathon, someone's done something in the same 24 hours. And flip it, in that same 24 hours, someone has said no. Someone said, I can't do it. Someone said tomorrow. Someone said, I don't have enough time in the same 24 hours. So these time and patience thing, they go on and on. It's the discipline. That is the thing. And I bring back a wisdom that I heard. Dr. Charlie brought up this idea that motivation is unreliable and sometime-ish. It depends on, if you go to a Tony Robbins concert, motivated, walk on fire, the whole 9 yards. You leave the concert, and let's say concert, because that's what it feels like. You leave the concert, the sounds of people around you, you are pumped. You are just ready to go crush things. Get back to the grind on Monday, and it starts to wane. You get a couple of disappointments. Someone says, "Oh, you went to that thing," or whatever it might be, and now you're turned around again, and you're back into the cubicle, wishing and hoping. Did you review the material? No, just basically, I'll go to the next. Get motivated by the next seminar. Our bodies, I can't say CDs anymore, but anyways, your body is material, and it gives you a little bit of motivation to keep you going. But again, you just find yourself back at another. There's some people who are junkies at these seminars. They go and they get motivated and then leave, and the discipline wanes. So yes, I remember the wisdom is winning is a promiscuous lover. That means it doesn't have any feelings. It only goes to the next person. So you can love winning, you can love climbing that mountain today, but you're as good. Your high school win, that championship you won in high school, and you're now 50 plus, it's unfortunately, we're still not going to give you that award for that anymore. That's kind of gone now. What's the next thing? So it's a promiscuous lover. It'll move on to the next hot thing. So you can't really count on that. So discipline is there, but it needs those two: patience, time, and get help. Right? The feeling. So here's a problem with discipline, though. There's a problem with discipline. Unfortunately, hate to pop this bubble, but discipline, unfortunately, is driven by moments. Motivation is driven by moments. Think about it for a second. I think Ray brought it up. Feeling. How do I feel? Let's think about this for a second. A diet that you went on to lose, weight and to do your thing, get healthier. What do people say? And I say this in my book. I wrote this in my book. The biggest trap when it comes to nutrition is people say, "What do you feel like eating today?" You and I, Charlie and Ray and I will go out to them, and the first question we ask, "What do you feel? What do you feel like?" And the choice of your food is dependent on the emotion you're in, right? It's not based on anything nutritious for your body, unless you're feeling healthy, unless you're feeling like making the right choice. But if you're basing it on the time, feelings are driven by the moment you're in, your hormonal state. A lot of women can understand this. Close to menstrual cycles, they are, nope, I'm going to have my chocolate. I'm going to have my whatever, the treats. Fatigue drives your feeling. Another great wisdom is fatigue makes cowards of us all. You're motivated, but now you're fatigued. You're tired, so on and so on. So there goes the diet. There goes the discipline. It's out the window because how you feel. Emotions are driven by it. Angry, sad. It drives your feeling. And so you can't wait to feel. This is where again the discipline comes in. It's essential. And so one of my fourth pillar, if you ask the question, then how do I get discipline if I don't have that structure built in me? Which is one of the reasons why I love putting your kids into some organized sport of some kind, because the organized sport starts to build the structure to discipline if they want to utilize it, because they have to show up on time, and there's a structure to learning to do something. Hit a ball, you start off the tee and you swing. There's structure to organized sports. You can't just send somebody on a field of battle of any kind without instructions, without showing up 3 to 5 times a week, and doing the thing over and over and over. That's where discipline is built, is in these stages, these early stages of life. And if they have nothing to drive them, then I don't know how someone at an early stage builds this structure that discipline sits in, and says, thank you. Now I can formulate this discipline because I know step one, I do this, step two, I do that, step three, I do this. Anything. It's just you need those steps. You can't count on feelings because, again, feelings is driven by way too many factors. So if you're struggling with developing discipline, you need structure. And I keep going back to this other wisdom that I learned from osteopathy. I didn't think this would spill over into other parts of my life because it makes sense in osteopathy. And for those who don't know what that is, that's a manual therapy that we use to fix structure and function in the body and so on. But in a nutshell, it says structure governs function. Because when someone comes in to see me and I am assessing them, I look at their structure. If their shoulders are off, their hips are twisted, their foot's turned out, whatever it might be, some imbalance, a short leg or whatever it is, that structure will govern their function. They can't function any better than the structure sets them up. Now, if we think about that, and I just use that in the area of health and wellness, then I started thinking about it in life. Your outcome, your results are driven by your structure because it governs your function. If you have no structure, i.e., discipline, i.e., uh, some process, a system to drive something, the outcome will be improper function, dysfunction. You can't help it. It's driving the structure, drives the function. So, what is your structure for getting to where you want to go? So, I'll continue this, but I want to hand this over back to the boys. But discipline, it's huge. It's huge. I'll pass the mic.
Great discussion. I think with discipline, you look at it, and we've all heard the wisdom, hey, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? And it's the same thing with discipline. It's something, as Alvin mentioned, that we have to put structure to, and it takes time to build. But the beautiful thing about building discipline is all your work towards building discipline will pay off, right? Whereas motivation, it's so fleeting that it's an unstable structure. You can't build off of motivation, but you can build off of discipline. And to Ray's point, it's more important what you do than how you feel. And that's discipline, is taking the emotion out of it. Alvin mentioned it as well. Taking the feelings out of it. The discipline says it's time to get out of bed on time. It's time to eat the right meal. It's time to go to the gym. It's time to read this book that I'm working on. Discipline creates the structure for you to accomplish your goals. Without structure, it's really difficult to accomplish your goals, if not impossible. And I thought about this as well, that I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt that said that happiness is a byproduct, right? And it's true. Viktor Frankl said happiness cannot be pursued, it must ensue, right? Meaning it's a byproduct of the things you think, do, and say, right? So discipline, success is an outcome, it's a byproduct of discipline, right? Goal achievement is a byproduct of discipline, right? Sustainable success is a byproduct of discipline. So if I have a goal and I'm motivated to lose 30 pounds of body fat and I do that, motivation might help you get it off, but discipline will ensure that you keep it off. okay, because you're disciplined now in your approach to your diet, to your exercise, to your hydration. So discipline is so reliable. And if we look at our lives and you look at the friends that you have, a common thread in all your friends is they're reliable. Okay. And they're not reliable. They're probably not going to be your friends for very long because you can't count on them. And so discipline is one of the best friends you can ever make because it's reliable. And we need things that are reliable in our lives, right? We need a vehicle that's reliable. We need friends that are reliable. We need a partner that's reliable. So there's so many things like that, but discipline is the bridge that leads you to action. That's what Raymond said, and it's true. And so if you think about your goals, where they are and where you are now, the bridge to you reaching your goals is discipline. And with that, I'll pass the mic.
Yeah, that's so true. And I'll go with Alvin's point when you talked about osteopathy and how structure governs function. Um, every single week in our conversations and the topics we bring forth, it's it's funny how some way, shape, or form uh, we lived through it during the week. If we really talk about it. But
Oh,
I
absolutely.
see exactly. But I see patterns. I'm starting to see patterns. Because yeah, there's structure to a lot of these concepts, and let's say even our brains, for instance. Okay, every human being loves instant gratification. Correct. That's what we want, and that's also comes at the expense of patience and time. We want it right now. Well, we all know a lot of things worthwhile when we truly invest, when we truly put effort in it. In the moment, they don't seem that fun, okay? And we want things to accelerate. But when we look back, we're very happy that we went through this process. Okay, as we always say, trust the process. So now, when I look at patience, for instance, and time, I think it's so easy to mistake it for passivity. I feel like, okay, I need to do everything really fast so I can have a result right now. When I think of discipline, patience, and time, I think of strategic waiting. I'm not necessarily waiting. I'm being very strategic into what I'm doing while I'm waiting. Okay, while I'm waiting for the specific actions. If we go back to sports and we can transfer it to anything else, we always say prepare to win, expect to win, and play to win. In that order. Why? I wrote it down. Prepare to win. It means I have to plan. I have to plan something. I can't just show up on game day and everything's gonna go well if my opponent has been training for the past 3 6 months. I've been watching film, has been in the weight room. Same thing for business. Same thing for anything else. So you have to plan. Then from that planning, it's one thing to have the plan, but you need to train. Okay, you need to train. And a few weeks back, we talked about the difference between trying and actually training. It's two different things. Okay, if I'm trying, I'm not so committed. If I'm training, I'm really wholeheartedly committing to the plan. Okay, I have a structure in place where I can get things out of my head because I'm wired for instant gratification. I'm wired to just react to my feeling. So, in order to put that aside, I need those processes, those systems. It starts from there. It starts from there. From then, now it starts to shift my mindset. Okay. And that's when we say expect to win. You know, if I do that long enough, it's proven. How long does it take to adopt an habit? About 21 days. Okay, which science says, okay, well, if I don't do this for 21 days, I'm not gonna adopt the habit. Okay, it's not gonna give me the results and start to rewire the things in my brain that make me feel a certain way in certain situations, right? So you can deconstruct, you can reconstruct. So now, the longer I plan, the longer I commit to my plan and the follow processes, my mindset starts to shift, my beliefs start to shift, and now I expect to win when the moment comes because I've been doing the things and I've been becoming the person that can win. But lastly, when we say play to win, it's about an intention, and I wrote it down too. It's about execution. Okay. So when it's time and I've done all this, first I need to understand, okay, there might not be a perfect moment for anything. I'll give you a quick example. I watched a video yesterday. I thought it was really interesting. It was talking about fear, and I told you guys every year I have like I have a focus that I'm trying to understand something new. This year it was fear. I wanted to understand fear, and it was an entrepreneur. He was saying that he's afraid just like anybody else, but he's trained himself and created a certain structure around him that whenever he feels fear, instead of doing this, stepping backwards just like anybody else, he trains himself to just take one little step forward. So just that little step forward in the midst of fear with intention gives him the courage to overcome that fear because he took one little step forward. So, but now this is automatic now. Okay, this is what's expected. This is base reaction. Hey, whatever makes me afraid, one little step forward, you change your state already. Okay, you change your state, you gain momentum, and with momentum, great things happen, guys. So we're talking about structure that um that what's the right word, that leads to a certain function. There's a process. Alvin talks about the four pillars of mastery. Process. Charlie talks about discipline. Process. So think of it this way, but they all work together. But if you understand the patterns, if you understand the order of things, you cannot do anything else but to be patient because you understand there's nothing that happens like this. Okay, there's nothing that happens like this, and that's how patience and time become your friend because they are needed in the end, and that's how they work. I think if you want something to work for you, it's important to understand how this thing is even built and what the secrets are in it, which is why we're having these conversations all the time, learning from each other. We don't have all the answers, but it's like, hey, we're peeling out layers. If we listen deep enough, there's always one thing to take away every single week. I take away something. I hope you guys take away something too, right? So prepare to win, expect to win, play to win, follow the process, get structure. From that structure, from that training, it affects how you think, the inner, and from the inner, it manifests in the outer world when it's time to actually play. Take that little step forward when you're afraid, you execute with intention. And with that, I'll pass the mic.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So I'm going to go back a couple of really great nuggets Dr. Charlie talked about. I love this one. In this case, he was talking about the wisdom that said happiness cannot be pursued, it must be ensued. I would say the same thing as discipline. And discipline, it won't come up and bite you. It has to be ensued by a continuous following your structure and your process. All of a sudden, as the other wisdom says, do it so well and do it so often and so consistently that you can't get it wrong. You can't not do it anymore. And that's where I'm at with a lot of things in my life. I do it so much that I get up at 4:30 in the morning. And to a lot of people, they're like, you're nuts. And I get up, by the way, at that time, effortlessly. Some days I should stay in bed, but my body wakes me up because it's ensued me now. I'm ensued by this habit that I get up. My body clock just says, hey, it's that time. And my eyes are open. I said, well, since my eyes are open, I'm just going to get up anyways and let's do it. So now I can't even stop myself from getting up. My circadian rhythm's built in now, and here we go. And that comes from that structure. And I love the other thing he said was motivation may, and listen to this one for those who struggle with say weight loss. Motivation may help you get it off, which is true. Some people have a motivation for a wedding, a vacation they want to go on, meeting somebody, something. That's the motivation, the wedding, the beach, the motivation, that partner that you want to pursue, motivation. But what's going to keep it going after the marriage, after the holiday is over, after this? It's a discipline. Discipline will keep it off. So really take that in. If you leave this call with, or this podcast with anything, that's the one. That's one of the good ones. So then Ray said, strategic waiting. I like that quote. And strategic waiting is actually necessary sometimes because remember what we talked about. Two greatest warriors, patience and time. Right? Patience. Sometimes the goal you want can't be rushed. It does take time. For instance, right now I'm doing a contest for the first time ever, 30 years in this bodybuilding industry. 30 years. And now, in honor of my son, I choose to do a contest that'll get me to stage. And now I've picked up momentum. There's other people I'm doing this for as well. So, but it's 16 weeks. It's a 16-week preparation. I have to move my 225-pound body, and apparently I'm going to get all the way down to even 200. And it's not like I feel it's not like I have a lot to lose, but it's possible to lose those pounds, but it takes patience. Every day, my coach gives me a structure, i.e., my meal plan and my workout, and I have to diligently do what he says to do. And then he's even lowered it now a little bit. He tweaked it a little bit and took it down a bit more. A few more grams have gone down, and the changes are happening. Sometimes they go a little faster, sometimes they go a little slower, but they're happening because it takes time and patience to get that goal. It's not going to be overnight because if I get there overnight, it's going to be suffering and something's going to be harmed by a quick run. So I'm loving this patience and time. So trying versus training, I love that. There's no such thing as when we leave a conversation, I'm going to try to call you tomorrow. You kind of know you ain't getting a call. Okay, they're gonna try to call you, but I tell you what, if they want something from you and it's in their best interest, the conversation won't be I'm gonna try to call you tomorrow. The conversation will be I'm gonna call you tomorrow around 1. Is that okay? See, there's a firmness to that. See, so when people try to lose weight, try to work out, that's where it gets loose. No, I'm gonna work out tomorrow. Done. All right. So love those. And something I'm going to share with you, again, after working with some of the best fitness and people, body fitness, bodybuilding athletes in the world, some of the best in the world, Olympia level. top, is that when they are in prep, they are the most productive people you'd ever want to see. They are crushing so many things because how you do one thing is how you do everything. What they're starting to notice is that once they have structure around their life, i.e., I'm going to eat this much, I'm going to do this, I've got my 16-week mapped out, and I want to get to this stage, everything else starts to spill over into their business, their personal, everything starts to be affected by this discipline and this structure. Now, here's a caveat. When they're off season, woo, hot mess. Hot mess. They have no structure. They're so used to having that structure that they go off the rails. Start to play in areas they shouldn't be playing and start to do things because that structure is gone and so is the discipline. It goes with it. So if you want to build in that goal you want, where's your structure? Especially if you were, this goes out to all those people too who are listening who were athletes at some point. Disciplined athlete. I'm not talking you have to be top tier level, one athlete and all this kind of. I'm talking to anybody who had some kind of a structure and now you're struggling. Here's a problem. You're missing that structure from your life because this idea of flipping the switch, I'm good at flipping the switch, man. When I'm off, I'm off. That's because you're missing that structure. You need to have that structure back in. And so here's what I'm going to finish off with on my side of this thing. A lot of times we're not missing discipline, by the way. Discipline's in us. Because I tell you what, here's the thing. You have discipline to sit on that couch. You have discipline to avoid the gym and to go to the bar. You're not going to miss that. See, those are mild disciplines. They seem like they're not doing anything, though. It seems passive discipline. See, when you have a active discipline, that's moving you towards some goal that you want. But let me tell you, avoiding everything and doing your usual pattern every day, it's actually a discipline that you developed. A discipline, is it getting you where you want to go? No. But it's a discipline, trust me. Meeting my buddy at the bar at 6 p.m. every Wednesday to have a drink, that's a discipline. I never miss that. So think about that. I never miss having that smoke at whatever time. I don't miss Pizza Fridays. Those are disciplines because you never go, oh, geez, I forgot to go. Oh, I forgot to meet my buddy to have a drink. Oh, I forgot the golf game on Saturday that we always go to. See, those are all disciplines, but are they getting you where you want to go? It's the same discipline as me saying, I'm getting up at 4:30. I could be getting up at 4:30 to have a drink. It's a discipline, but I got to figure out what that discipline is getting me, the outcome. Start focusing on the outcome of what you're doing, the structure that you have. Because you have discipline. Don't beat yourself up. We have discipline. We're just not aiming that discipline in the right direction for the outcome we want. And no decision is a decision. So some discipline takes a bit more work, but if you love the outcome that you're looking for, the weight loss, you love how your body's going to look, you love the income that may come from you upgrading, leveling up your education, going back to school or taking that course or doing whatever it is. If you fall in love with that outcome, you'll have the discipline. So that's what I want to leave with. Don't be fooled that you don't have discipline. You have it. You're just aiming it in the wrong direction. All right. With that, I'll pass the mic.
Great discussion, fellas. I reminded me of I was listening to you both talk. Reminded me of a wisdom from Winston Churchill. And he said, no matter how beautiful the strategy, we should occasionally look at the results, right? And so when we look at our results, then we can reverse engineer from our outcomes back to see where we're missing, in our discipline. Where is our discipline lacking, right? And then we can build a structure to fix that. So even though we may have struggled for weeks or months or years, we're literally a decision away from creating a structure that will alleviate those struggles that we're having, whether it's weight loss, whether it's building personal relationships, whether it's building a relationship with ourselves, which is massively important. Discipline will always win the day. And with that discipline, we build a structure that's going to be sustainable. So I remember in my football days, probably I was a freshman in high school, and so many of these lessons, and Alvin mentioned how important organized sports is to helping you build discipline, right? Creating structure, you can see what that looks like. And then the discipline that you build will serve you for the rest of your life. And so one of the big things that we would always do is run wind sprints, right? That was kind of the litmus test at the end of practice. You practice for a couple of hours, it's hot outside, you're tired, you're fatigued, and now guess what? You're going to run for the next 30 minutes. And it was at the end, and so it was difficult, and it was at the end by design to amplify the difficulty level. And I remember, I guess, it's 40 plus years ago, but I can still remember we ran 10-10s. So it was all yards, right? 10-10s, 10-20s, 10-30s, 10-40s, 10-50s. That was it. We had to run those. And so, that's 50 wind sprints, right? And if we played hard and we practiced hard, sometimes it would let us out of the 50s, which was massive, right? But I remember the coach, he had to be down in it, and everybody had to be down in a 3-point stance before he would blow the whistle. And when you're really fatigued and you're struggling to get air, 3-point stance, it's hard to breathe when you're in that. But we would all be in a 3-point stance. And before he would blow the whistle for us to run, he'd ask us a question. And the question is, what's the word? That was his question. What's the word? And the answer was discipline. He'd blow the whistle, we run. Turn around, come back. What's the word? Discipline. We run. Come back, turn around. What's the word? Discipline. So you think about over the course of a football season that I said that hundreds of times, that spaced repetition. And here we are 40 plus years later, and I'm still saying it. And so that's the staying power of discipline. In that 40 years, motivation's come and gone. I can't even identify motivation in a police lineup, right? But discipline is here to stay. And with that, I'll pass the mic.
Because motivation comes and goes so easily. I love what you talked about, Charlie, about reverse engineer from our outcomes to see what we're missing, but also see everything we've accomplished. Right? A few weeks back, we were all talking about the gap and the gain. I believe we all read the book, and it really talks about this. Where, hey, most people feel like, let's say in the past 3 months, they haven't accomplished much. Okay. They're very hard on themselves. But if they just sit down, okay, if they sit down and they just put pen to paper and write down different things they've accomplished by reverse engineering, they'll see that, oh, wow, in the past 3 months, I actually did a lot more than I thought I did. If you look 5 years back, 10 years back, just think of the person you are today and the type of things you wanted for your life 10 years ago that were very important to you 10 years ago you didn't have. a lot of chances today, maybe your dreams have shifted because the finish line always moves forward, right? But if you look back, you probably have a lot of things you wish you had 10 years ago, and you're just not happy with them, or you forgot how important they were to you 10 years ago. So, reverse engineering really shows us our progress and gives things that much more meaning, okay? And allows us to really see the actual results, the actual result, because again, the finish line always keeps being pushed. So that's a great thing. And Alvin, you talked about how overnight brings suffering sometimes. I put that in yellow because as I'm thinking about this, I'm like, wow, this is so true. How many people won the lotto overnight without financial knowledge, knowing how to manage their money? What happens next? Suffering, right? Statistics say it specifically. Mm? And now it translates to really anything else. I think of Charlie 40 years ago doing all the wind sprints. Okay. Well, if overnight they went into the game, it was going to be suffering. They prepared. They prepared. They've been built for it. And I believe that is so true. That is so true. Where time and patience are essential. They are essential because anything overnight, no matter how much we dream of it and would like it, it really leads to suffering. If everything in between hasn't um, being been given the opportunity to sprout, you know, within us. Um, so I'm keeping that in mind. Where, hey, when we say trust the process, there's a reason for it. That's where true fulfillment and true happiness comes. Overnight leads to suffering. It really does because we haven't acquired the right stuff, the right stuff yet to even know what to do with it. And with that, I'll pass the mic.
All right, some real magic there. Just writing down real quick to close us off here is yes, uh, trusting the process. And this goes back to uh, the idea about assessing every so often, no matter how the structure, you have to step back and look at the results. Because it's great. We may tell you on this podcast to go off and trust the process and keep going. But sometimes you're beating your head against that rock, not seeing the results. It's not the we still advocate consistency and sticking to your goals, but we also big time advocate every so often step back and look at the results. Don't change your structure. Don't change what you're doing. It's great. However, assess, do I have the right people? So sometimes that person, an instructor, that coach you use may get you so far, but they can't get you to that next level. That structure you used to lose 20 pounds was great. Awesome. Now what's going to get you to lose the other 20 pounds? Because you may have run out of room with that one now. The body's adapted. It doesn't, you don't have the right instructions to take it that next level. Maybe it's ketogenic. Maybe it's carnivore. Maybe it's a little bit of both. Maybe it's timing. It's cycling the food. I remember talking to one of my good friends just recently, and he was saying when he was competing, typically someone would put you to lose some weight, they put you on a low carb diet. But he found he wasn't seeing any results. So then he started to cycle carbs back in, and he started to see himself, things started to change. So, yeah, keep going. Follow the structure you have as long as you're continuing to develop the discipline. But don't get frustrated that I've been doing this for so long and I've seen no results. No, change, keep the discipline, change the structure, tweak the structure, find the right person, but keep going. As Dr. Charlie says, motivation, we don't want you to go there on motivation. Because when that promiscuous lover leaves you, we want to make sure that we have structure back in there. So, really great conversation. And quickly, I want to talk about what Ray mentioned about lotto winners. I think the number for lotto winners is kind of the same. It's in the same ballpark as those athletes who came from a low socioeconomic background and all of a sudden got a multi-million-dollar contract. What they've found is that those same people are in alignment with the lotto winners. About 70+% is the number I remember seeing. 3 years after their career is over, the athlete, they're broke, like dead broke, actually below broke. They wish they were broke, only at zero, because now they have debt, they have taxation, they have homes that they had that were in foreclosure. They didn't have all that when they were zero. Zero is a nice number. At least you can go up from zero. But when you're in the deficit, which is most of them ends up, they end up in trouble for decades. So yeah, so you need that discipline. You need to take it slow, because that time and patience, the reason why they're two great warriors is they teach you things, necessary things. So when you get to the top and your target, you stay there. See, they say you can take money, all the money away from a wealthy person, strip them, take all the money from them. And they say, but leave them with their contacts and the things they know and the people they met, and they can go out and within no time they get that money back. Why? Because they got there on their own. They knew how they got there through their contacts. They saw how they built things. They saw all the processes are locked in their head of how I got to be there, because they took the time, and now they can become millionaires overnight because the structure is locked in. They got it. So, anyways, great conversation. Loved it. It's essential. Re-listen to it. Like, subscribe, share. Someone you know who always dreams and wishes, and you find that they have a new plan, and you wish they work hard, and you see them not getting where they want to go. I think this is the key. You can really help them out, because if they're putting in the hustle and you've been watching them for years and you just wish they would get a break, the break could be, what is my structure? Does it get me where I want to go? I have all the hustle in the world, but I'm missing the proper structure. So, all right, with that, what's our last word, fellas?
Hey, I'm thinking about this, and my last word is going to be metamorphosis.
Hmm.
Metamorphosis, I wrote, equals permanent change,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
A butterfly never goes back to a caterpillar. And becoming a butterfly is the dream of the caterpillar. It's a permanent change. And discipline allows us to create permanent change.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
With that, I'll pass the mic.
Love that. My word this week will be alignment, because patience, time, discipline, actions, beliefs, all these things, man, they work as a team. They work as a team. And when they're aligned, great things happen. So I'll go with that.
All right, I'm going to go with introspections coming to me right now. Introspection, look at what you're doing, look at the results you're getting, introspect, break it down, take it apart, and tweak it. Because I love your hustle. The world needs more hustle. But what are we hustling to? As another wisdom said, you want to climb the ladder of success, but you want to make sure your ladder is against the right wall. So assess, introspect, and keep going. So with that, here's what we want to do at the end here. Each and every one of you want to wish you what? Peace, love. We need it today. And a little sprinkle of soul. All right. We hope we nourished you. We hope we gave you something. And I'll leave you with my mentor's wisdom. He said, one idea, well executed, can change your life forever. You just need one. All right. Peace, everybody. Until next time.